Oh, I wanted to say thank you to all my subscribers and my channel members and everyone who purchased the, VIP content, extended sequels on Patreon, um, or watches them as a channel member. Thank you to all the donations via Coffee and via Venmo. Um, if you book private sessions, I really enjoy that. I really enjoy getting to know you and tapping into streaming into your specific energy. Um, one thing to speak to you like through the screen as part of a collective, and another to actually engage with you on the phone or via video session. It's like you guys come to life for me. It's a really fun experience for me. Um, so thank you for those of you who grant me the honor of tuning into your path and trying to support you in whatever way I can with the tools that I have. Um, and above all, last but not least, thank you to the Anima Mundi, the life force, who allows us all to engage in adventure, which is insane. Okay, now that all of that is said and done, and if you skipped to now, that's perfectly fine. Let's check what's going on right now, collective, the energy. Hi, Crimes Against Art. Welcome. Hello, hello. What's going on with the collective right now, spiritually? What's going on with the collective right now, spiritually? Very interesting. The energy that I'm getting, that I'm picking up on, it's very still. It's very quiet, which is interesting to me cognitively because everything seems so chaotic, right? In the world and on the news. But if I tune that all out and just ask to feel current spiritual blueprint of the collective, it's so quiet and still. I don't know, it could be the calm before the storm kind of thing. Although you could say it's stormy now, but I am recording this a couple of days, no, about a week before Mars is going to turn direct after being in retrograde for a while in the sign of Cancer. So Cancer, believe it or not, is also a dual sign. And when it goes inward, when it becomes passive, it's very secretive, it's very hiding, it goes into its shell, it kind of sneaks around you, it becomes scorpionic even. Um, so it's kind of Mars retrograde in Cancer, kind of brings it a lot deeper into that type of energy. And then when it goes direct, Cancer is a cardinal water sign. It's the sign of the strong waves and tsunamis, and if to take it to the extreme. So it's like things are about to move forward, like a major waves. I think it was the last live. I'm not sure. Maybe that I did for February, probably where I picked up on tectonic shifts. Maybe you want to watch that, the All Signs for February. Oh, or maybe it wasn't on the All Signs. No, I think it was on the collective for February. And it's called February 2025 Existential Shift. And then other stuff that I picked up on in the caption. But things are going to be moving heavily geographically um, physically, nature as well. Nature is going to start moving per se. It's going to be intense. Um, Mars and Cancer, it's fire and water, right? Which if you've been around, you won't be surprised. Um, on an individual level, I think a lot of the things that we have been choosing to be passive about and internalizing and trying to process by ourselves and not externalize, and be it to avoid conflict, be it to preserve energy, be it to prepare properly. So once you do it, you feel like you're ready and have the knowledge or whatever the case. Those things are going to start being externalized very soon. Um, and it's going to affect your reality. Like people are going to start coming back to you with things that they've internalized in relation to you that they haven't, expressed to you. They've been feeling, processing by themselves, and then you yourself are likely to do it too, right? We are part of the collective. Seekers who are drawn to the shift might be in a more like aware, conscientious aspect and level, but we're still, if you're alive on this realm, you're still a part of this physical journey, right? So it's going to apply to all of us to a certain degree, and some of us will do it in a more aggressive, um, some perhaps prefer not, but sometimes even violent way, and some of us will do it in a more self-conscious, compassionate manner, but it will still be assertive. We'll be asserting our picking up deep sense of values. So it's going to be like, it's almost like the collective has been, everyone has been held in a red light at a crossroad. But like someone has to have a green light, but no one had a green light. Everyone is holding in a red light. And it's like a weird crossroad where it's red for everyone, just so that everyone sits with themselves and kind of process. And then it's going to become green for everyone at once, an opportunity to storm into the road or be like, okay, I get it that there's um, an energetic green light and I'm free to be on the move, but maybe I can utilize my wisdom and discernment to be like, wait, everyone is getting a green light and everyone's storming into the crossroad. Maybe I should stay put and hold off a little bit before I, you know, jump in and risk myself and others and just add to the chaos and let things kind of settle. But it will be from a place of you choosing to give yourself a temporary, just a little longer red light. And it really depends. Maybe you're required to be on the go to move on that green light because behind you there's a tsunami coming, and when you're stopping, you're actually holding people behind you from escaping it. It's an analogy. It's an analogy, guys. It's a metaphor. Um, so you have to be on the go. Basically, it's an opportunity to discern, is it wise for now for me to be moving or enacting, etc., or is it wise to wait a little longer? And that will vary depending on your situation. And I feel like this time of having Mars retrograde Cancer until now kind of was an opportunity for each and every single one of us to develop that wisdom and that discernment so that once energy is open, once free will is back to being available to us, once spirit is like, okay, we're now giving them free will again, completely. Again, another metaphor, I'm not entirely sure about that, but it's possible. Um, how will they utilize it? Will they do whatever they want just because they can? Just because you can tell that you can get away with theft, no one is watching, or whatever the case may be, you will know. Doesn't mean that that's what you have, that's what you need to do, right? Can doesn't equate should necessarily. So it's almost like a spiritual test for the next possible bump. Now that you can, will you or will you not? Now, some of you will be the good thing and the right thing to do what you can do now. Some of you not. It's not mine to tell you. That's the whole point of it. It's yours. Okay, interesting. Interesting message. I didn't use the cards because there was no the cards are a tool, but if I get the message and channeling or an inspiration and then it doesn't require a tool, a wonderful, expansive, wise, creative, artistic, majestic, magical tool like the tarot. If it doesn't require a tool, then it doesn't. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the signs and let's start with Aries. How are you guys doing? I always start with Aries because that's the first sign in the zodiac. Cardinal fire is the beginning of life. And I just do that because it makes it easier for seekers who watch the recording to kind of try and guess where the next sign would be on the timeline. If there's no timestamps for whatever reason. Okay. Aries, message for now. What do Aries need to know now? Hold on, give me 1 second before I actually start because I want to turn off a little bit the space heater because it got a little too warm. So give me a moment. I'll be right back. Sorry, I muted myself. Hello, Anagard. How are you? Welcome. Thank you for joining. By the way, can you guys hear me? Is the sound okay? Is the streaming smooth? Um, either way. Aries, now. Message for Aries. What does Aries need to know now? What do my Aries seekers, seers, shifters need to know now? Message for Aries for now. Picking up on a level of melancholy, like an underlying sadness, which isn't like what specifically represents everything that you're experiencing right now, but something in the background that just saddens you. It's personal. Ace of Swords. If you have an idea, a thought, an inspiration of some sort, it's in alignment with your Dharma and with your Oversoul. It's in alignment with a bigger picture that is bigger than you, that you don't necessarily see the full details or all the aspects of it, but your intuitive mind right? So let's say the right hemisphere of your brain. Um, it's not so much so in your gut, or it's like this quiet knowing. Um, it's in tune. So this is like confirmation to like trust yourself, know that um, you know best when it comes to what is best for you. Nine of Wands. I need more about this. Four of Pentacles. The thing is, instinctually, your system is in resistance to it. Like there's a level of fear, even paranoia, anxiety, worry of the things that can go wrong and the things that you might lose by listening to this quiet, intuitive, clear knowing. You might not be aware that that's the case, but these cards show that it's a form of post-traumatic stress disorder where you associate either everything that can go wrong type of thinking or past experience of failure. You're associating it with whatever this is now, and so you're worried that and you're also there's a fear of losing something that you have now. There's a perception that it could be a false perception, it could be a true perception, a level of sacrifice that is needed. I'm not sure. That will depend on, it will vary between different seekers out there. But this kind of surpasses it either way. Like whatever it is that you fear to lose or have to let go of, it comes from a place of fear and inability to let go. Um, because you've earned this, right? You've worked for this, you've earned this, you gathered this. It's like almost like someone works hard for their money, and yeah, you've earned it, you worked for it. But now the money just sits in the bank and isn't utilized for, money is meant to be utilized, ideally in a wise manner, right? Not in a frivolous manner, but still utilized. If it just sits there and festers, it doesn't serve you, it doesn't serve its purpose. So it's like whatever this is that you're afraid to lose, I mean, you've earned it. It's not a bad thing in and of itself, but then it will undermine its own essence of what you worked hard for by trying to hold on to it. By trying to hold on to what it is that you worked for and earned, you're in a way are essence losing it because the holding on is the notion of what it is that you're holding on to. If that makes any sense, I'm not sure how that makes sense, but those of you that it applies for, you'll understand. Um, okay. Advice. Let go. The death card. This is a transformation, a change, a complete new trajectory, process, chapter. Um, it's not just a new chapter. It's not just a new episode. It's like a sequel or even like a complete new story. It's a new beginning. Very, very, very. Okay, we have two aces now. Ace of Swords and Ace of Wands, and this is an intense new beginning. It's like no looking back. It's like think a land that has completely burned, and there's a new sprout coming out from the soil after the rain came and cleared. It's like nothing will be the same again, but everything will be blossoming, and it will be like new oxygen to your lungs. It will be like if you've ever like imagine for in your entire life only drinking water that are dirty or full of um, chlorine or whatever the case may be. Chloride, chlorine, toxins, and you don't know any other type of water. So that's how you know to nourish yourself, to how you clean yourself, how you hydrate, and then suddenly, and that's just your experience, and you don't want to lose those water because well you need water, right? But you don't know this type of water, right? So this is like reverse osmosis water, or really like mountain pure lake water, that it's like and then when you drink it, it's like you never knew what you missed out on because it's the first time you're experiencing. And then you learn what actual great water is. So obviously, as long as you didn't have that, the former water were necessary and good and benevolent because either way you need water and it's better than not having water. But now that you have these water, it's like time to time for a bump. Okay, so something like that, but with the oxygen or with these aren't metaphors, so whatever experience this is. Okay, good luck. Make a change. I think the month of April, your season, will serve as a major rebirth. Something very new and very profound and very positive with very strong potential is commencing in your life, and it's going to happen really fast. These are very fast. It's water and sorry, air and fire. This moves fast. Yeah. Okay. Very good luck. Taurus. Message for Taurus for now. Now what? Time to rest. You've been through something very intense, profound, hurtful, um, challenging, karmic. I'm being corrected. Because when I say karmic, some of you are getting the impression it's like you deserved to go through something bad. So because you did something bad, that's not it. Um, the sword element also, the air element also represent spiritual, what's the word? Initiation. Initiations. You've had several spiritual initiations, one after the other, in an intense rhythm, one after the other, like, and it's like spiritual boot camp, um, accelerated and intensified to really stretch your energetic boundaries and limits. And it's like running a marathon nonstop, and you don't have even time to think or to process, only until it's over. So now you're hyperventilating because you've gone through this spiritual energetic marathon, and you're not even at the point of processing it emotionally and mentally. You're still like catching your breath because it's so exhausting. So things are about to slow down and calm, and you're about to start like really processing everything, and so that and this what do you call it, test or initiation is finalized. Yeah. You're checking your pulse? What? Your pulse is different? What? What does that mean? For some of you, it's literal for whatever reason. Um, Something about the blood in your veins. What's going on, Taurus? What is this? Okay. So for many of you, this is interesting. This process that I described um, has initiated dormant genetic memory in your blood flow, in your bloodstream, is kind of being granted approval to wake up and get integrated into your system and into your mechanism. You're changing on a very fundamental level, like genetically even. I'm not saying you're turning into an alien. I'm not saying you're turning into a new species, but it's almost like an evolutionary bump. Like, but it's not something new. It's even something very ancient. It's it is you. It's been in you. It's just been dormant because you needed to go through what you went through and deal with it without that natural talent that makes it easy, right? You needed to study how to paint without having the talent for painting, so that the mechanism gets to be embedded in you, so that you learn the mechanics of it, the mental aspect of it. Okay, maybe you had a gift, right, where you could just tell, well, you could just tell how someone feels, right? Intuitively. You just read the energy or read the aura of someone, and then it became dormant. So you knew that it's possible because you've done this for so long, but then suddenly you can't pick up on it or you can't feel it. So you had to develop the physical, mundane mechanics of it, like maybe learning how to read body language, maybe like exercising active listening, where you really are in tune and focus on the person in front of you, the things they say, the things they don't say, so that you're able to read, um, to read them from that kind of place. You know how crimes against art, I love the new setup. Thank you. It's our temporary new setup. I keep changing our setup because I keep changing my place. That's cool. Um, until further notice, anyway. And you know how like psychics and mediums, people often try to prove their fraud by saying, well, you can learn how to read body language or learn how to read tone of voice, or have all kinds of techniques and tricks to know the same thing. Yes, there are different ways to get to the same place, right? Some people need the mechanics of it. Some people approach it mentally, and some people just have it innately. They pick up on it physically or energetically, or empathically, from an emotional place. So it's not to say that either doesn't exist or that either is wrong, that it's either this or that. It's just different people have different ways. Like it doesn't, just the fact that you are able to read people in other ways doesn't mean that it's impossible to read people in an intuitive way, right? Uh, People like to, sometimes it's the weirdest thing, they like to discredit one thing by saying, but you can do it this way, as if it's either or. But it's like, I can run there and I can walk there. Just because I can run there doesn't mean I can't also walk there or fly there or drive there. You know, well, you can also drive there and use your car to get there. So that means that you can't walk there. You can't. Yes, you can use the machine of some sort um, to get to a place, like an assistant, a tool, right? This is a tool. I can use tarot to get information, but I can also use a conversation to get information, and I can also do research, either you know, uh, either behind the scenes or in front of the scenes to get information, and I can just sit and focus and ask for it, and it can, in my case, like the um, claircognizance thing, right? You can get that information. There are different ways to get information. Just because one person gets information this way doesn't mean that if someone else can't be getting information another way. I find it very interesting. Like, just don't discredit things just because there are multiple ways of, multiple ways to the sun, um, multiple streams and rivers to the sea. Um, so okay, so I digressed, but to you, Taurus, it's like you had the innate talent to do something in a certain natural way without tools. You just, you're psychic or intuitive, or, whatever the case may be, or just naturally talented at painting or at dancing. You didn't need to study it. You didn't need to learn it. Not that there's anything wrong with it. But then you kind of temporarily became dormant by your higher self or by spirit or the anima mundi or cosmic Buddha or God, whatever you want. I like the term anima mundi because I feel like it's very uh, it contains all of it, right? Um, so that you'll be able to become aware and exercise your skill and ability of doing it as a mechanism or from a cognitive approach. And now that you've mastered it or studied it or are able to do that, now the talent is back. Now you have both. Now you're the natural talent and the mechanic. Now you're the natural born actor who also studied acting and has like techniques and mastered different styles and has the academic cognitive knowledge and has practiced it. So you can go on the cue and you don't lose yourself in the character. It's not overly method where you overly tune into the character and then you lose yourself and that can affect you psychologically and cause harm. Now you're able to tap in and out. Now you're able to have healthy boundaries. So maybe you were an intuitive, right? And now that you kind of went dormant and you had to develop the skill of actively listening and reading and researching or whatever it is. And now that you have it back online, you have discernment. You're able to like be like, yeah, I can tap into this person, but I recognize that maybe it's not something that they want me to do, so I'm gonna turn it off right now. Or maybe they'd rather if I approach them in a more intellectual way because that's a language that they feel more comfortable with. Comfortable with being read or being overly seen. It makes them feel a little bit, um, like they're being intruded upon. Um, And other people don't want you to approach them intellectually or cognitively. They just read them because they want to feel seen and heard, right? So you kind of develop a way towards to help people in different ways in the languages they understand by learning different languages of acting what it is that you do so well. But you wouldn't have gone there unless the way you did it naturally became dormant. So if some of you have felt, wrapping this up, that you've lost your oomph or talent for something and you had to like take a different route in order to continue doing what you're doing or whatever, and it felt a little scary and a little frustrating. Maybe you felt abandoned by spirit. You felt you always had spirit guides kind of guiding you and serendipity to kind of show you the path and what's best. And then suddenly it felt for a while that you lost that and you had to kind of just think, what is the most reasonable, logical thing to do? And I don't have any intuition. I don't have my radar is off. I can't figure out which best to turn, right or left. I don't know. I lost my compass. So now I need to stop and think analytically, what is the thing that makes more sense? Because that's all I have. And that kind of developed that muscle. So but now it's back. Or it's about to be back. About to be back. You're still breathing and recovering. Wow, that was a long, good one. Taurus, I really love this message. So, seekers in general, if you feel like this applies to you, I do know a lot of you watch all my signs because you like the different thing that come up that applies to seekers in general. So that's great. But if you've timestamped Taurus, if you could add that this is a good message to seekers in general that may resonate with this, that would be great. Okay, that was one card and mostly channeling. Amazing. So who's acting is also very, yeah, I agree. Very much analyze script, text, character. Okay, Gemini. Gemini's, what's up with you guys? Message for Gemini for now. What is going on with Gemini? Two of Swords and Ten of Wands. Leonardo da Vinci used to said that the world is divided into three main groups of people. Those who can see naturally, those who can see once shown, once guided, and those who just cannot see. I'm tapping into an energy that can't and won't see, and that someone is just feeling like they can't try to show anymore. So if you're on the shower aspect of this, I feel like you're dealing with some people who okay, I'm getting a dual aspect. Some or you are a dual Gemini, dual sign Gemini, so that makes sense. Some of you are on this side, some of you are on that side. Those of you who are trying to show something, to have someone see something, they're not in a place to see. They are very bound by their psychological triggers, childhood traumas. They're not going to see, or they won't see, or they can't see at least right now. This will only possibly change from a place of healing and a process that you don't have a say over or power over, and you can't control it and you can't accelerate it. I think that it's not yours even to accelerate or it's almost like you've been trying to force someone to see something, and the more you try to force it on them, um, the more you encounter a wall, and then that could be a lesson in of itself. They could be teaching you a valuable lesson of respecting people's journey and considering the possibility that maybe you're right and they just can't see, and maybe you're the one who can't see and they're right. Either is possible. I don't know the situation. I'm reading to a collective, right? So let go. The other side of this is there's something that you won't see, you refuse to see or can't see from a place that is very deeply traumatized and extremely subjective. Now, everything is subjective. I don't believe objective is a thing that actually exists. Even when we're the most objective, still we are expressing that alleged objectivity from our own brain and heart and life experience. And there will always be a level of subjectivity. It's not to say that it's wrong though. Someone who walked a path, walked a trail, has a subjective knowledge of it, right? And their experience on it, their personal experience on that route, on that path. And the person who only saw that path through a map on a screen or on paper might be objective about it because they didn't have a subjective, emotional, personal experience of walking that path, but they absolutely know less from the subjective person who walked that route. Subjective doesn't mean wrong. Subjective, if anything, is often more correct than objective. Objective is a cold understanding, intellectual understanding, theoretical understanding through a screen, through a book, through an article. But I was about to say you wouldn't patronize my lived experience of something when you did not, but I've had so many people patronize me over things that I have a very real life experience with um, that they do not when they felt entitled and legitimate level of and legitimacy to me, which is I find that level of vanity combined with ignorance to be overwhelming. You've never walked the land that I grew up in. Don't teach me about the land that I grew up in. You arrogant, ignorant piece of shit show. It's embarrassing. So until you're ready to travel to a place, and this is one example, it can apply in everything. Until one is ready to have the experience of something, they are not in a position to preach to it, to judge, to teach about it. Um, I find it that it requires a certain level of real narcissism. Want to think that they didn't practice something, that they're in a higher entitlement or legitimacy to teach about that something. I read 100 books about martial arts. I never taken a single class. I don't know how to, but I'm going to teach the actual martial artists and the black belts about it because they just read 10 books and then practiced for years. I read 100 books and heard a lot of people telling me about it. Gemini, Jupiter retrograding in your sign recently had went direct. Has taught you that maybe those of you on the patronizing side, and again, I'm picking up on two different Geminis. Those of you who have been on the receiving end of it, and those of you who have been on the giving end of giving and acting end of it. It taught you because you probably encountered walls of people who are like, I'm sorry, did you just try to teach about something you don't know anything about? As opposed to maybe in the past, kind of, I don't know, people have enabled that or they didn't call it out or they didn't respond and so you kind of kept going because you thought it's fine or didn't because you kept getting away with it. And now you've had a lot of experiences where you've encountered people who didn't take that BS and called it out. So that was a very teaching experience. And those of you that are in that place, coming from that side, um, are now experiencing that it just doesn't work for you, that method. And so you have that. So for those of you amongst the Geminis that are listening, I will get to the other group. But those of you that are in this group, you have two possibilities. You can either stay in denial and be in a place of judgment of oh, they are the Leonardo da Vinci group that just cannot see, when in fact it's you that just refuses to see no matter what. Um, so you can stay in that mindset, or you can like grow from it, learn from it, have an expansion and change. Those of you who've been on the receiving end of that type of approach and behavior are really not taking any BS anymore. You're like, you have more confidence, you have more assertion, you feel less timid, you just don't care as much about like not being seen in a certain way, like whatever. So that's liberating. Okay, so yeah, place yourself, take a moment, meditate, be honest with yourself, place yourself in whichever aspect of this reading you feel like it makes sense that you belong to, and be honest. 'Cause, you know, you're not cheating anyone but yourself because no one is, you know, waiting for your answers or counting, giving you uh, a grade. It's for you, and then go from there. Okay, but I'm checking up on different groups. Um, yeah, thank you, Gemini, and good luck. All right, who's next?